So I figured since I recently made sort of a mini review of Heart Gold and Soul Silver for Game Domain's channel, I figured now would be a good time to talk about this game's remake, specifically Fire Red and Leaf Green. I'm not gonna go into Let's Go yet, that's gonna have to wait for a whole nother rant, but Fire Red and Leaf Green. Now, I want to preface this by saying Fire Red and Leaf Green is an upgrade. Definitely an upgrade from Generation 1. If you're gonna play any Kanto games today for any other reason other than nostalgia or making a let's play of it detailing differences between Japanese and international versions, which are more prominent with Generation 1 than with the remakes, then definitely play Fire Red and Leaf Green over the originals. The originals really don't have much to offer over them other than nostalgia. And Generation 1's gameplay in terms of balance and just user-friendliness is just absolutely terrible when you look at it today. Not to mention how incredibly glitchy these games are. In fact, I think part of the reason why these games took forever to come out in English is because the programming is such a mess that the localizers didn't know how to work with it. And when it comes to gameplay, Generation 1 is about as balanced as a Kabigon's breakfast. Compared to that, Fire Red and Leaf Green looks like it was designed by Thanos himself. So now I'm shitting on Generation 1 when I'm supposed to be shitting on the remakes, in quotes, shitting. Like I said, I don't think they're actually bad. But, yeah, while Generation 3 fixed a lot of the, balance and just general stability and usability problems Generation 1 had, it also didn't innovate very much. Now, that's, in and of itself, that's not a problem. Because if you take away all the problems that the remakes fixed, this is already a good game in the first place. So, even if it doesn't innovate as much as Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like I said in that review, those innovations are an extra, not a necessity for a remake. So why is it that I seemed so negative towards Fire Red and Leaf Green earlier? Well, the thing that it does that I'm really not a fan of is that it prevents you from evolving Generation 1 Pokemon that got evolutions in Generations 2 and 3 until after you get the National Bestiary. So not only does it not offer that much new content, but it actively locks new content away from you. An actual conscious decision went into this. This isn't just, oh, they didn't put as much attention to detail into it as I would have wanted them to. No, they actively said, let's go so far out of our way to prevent newer Pokemon from being in the main game that we invent some bullshit excuse why Pokemon wouldn't evolve into certain stages unless you have a certain upgrade on your fucking device. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, in universe, what prevents them from evolving? And, I don't know, maybe somebody's gonna be like, well, actually, they explained that, but, it's... I don't know, maybe they did, but, that's an afterthought, and the real reason is just they didn't want it to be too different from the original, which, if I wanted something that's as close to the original as possible, I'd play the original. If I want a remake, I want it to actually improve. And out of the new content that was added in Fire Red and Leaf Green, the only one that really stands out as anything that anyone remembers is the Sevi Islands. Like, other than that, what does Fire Red and Leaf... Oh, and I guess in the post-game, the, legendary beasts or whatever, but what else does Fire Red and Leaf Green have? It's got that weird thing where you talk to NPCs and it records some weird facts about them that nobody cares about. Really, has anyone ever bothered filling that thing out? Anyone? Anyone at all? Yeah, Fire Red and Leaf Green, it's better than the originals, but not because of any of the actual stuff created for Fire Red and Leaf Green, but just because of the general progress the series has made in Generation 2 and 3 anyway, and the stuff that was created for Fire Red and Leaf Green, they just kind of dropped the ball on, and you can tell there's just not as much effort put into it as there was with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Okay, so this guy, As it turns out, these trainers I've been fighting this whole time have all been an elaborate setup to try to get me to join the Rocket Gang. And as a reward for beating them, he just gave me a nugget. Now, where this gets interesting from a localization standpoint is that the Nugget Bridge is called the Golden Ball Bridge in Japanese, and the item nugget is called Kin no Tama, which is Japanese for golden ball. Now, if you're thinking that that's a weird Japanese thing that only sounds suggestive when translated to English, no, it's not. This was the intention. Kin no Tama is actually Japanese slang for testicles. And the joke is that they make it sound like... They make it sound to the player that the guy is trying to get you to fondle his balls, when what's actually happening is he's just giving you an item that is called that. These games actually do these kinds of jokes quite often. There was one that actually got kept intact in the English version in Black and White 2, I think it was. Where you're in Castelia City and you're walking through this like dark alleyway, and there's this shady guy wearing like black trench coat and shades and everything, and he's hiding behind like a trash container, and he jumps out at you and gives you the flash HM. It's the same kind of joke here. They do this quite often. In fact, just about every time an NPC gives you a nugget in a Pokemon game, they always do this joke. But in the English version, they censored him being an implied sex offender, and instead they gave him a line right before the battle starts where he says he's gonna make you an offer you can't refuse, referencing The Godfather, even though they get the line wrong. The original line from The Godfather is, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse," but this guy says, "I'll make you an offer you can't refuse." But now I'm just being really nitpicky. And if you haven't guessed already, I'm trying to catch a Cayce on this route, or an Abra as it's called in the English version. Okay, that didn't take as long as I thought. Here is the first Cayce. So the thing about catching these things is that you have to, you can't catch them, you can't weaken them, you have to, you have to try to catch them on the first try, or else they teleport away. And, yeah, that can be tricky, and it's really nothing but luck. So, yeah, this could take a while until I find another one. I mean, there are strategies that you can use to make it not 100% luck. Some people like to catch a Butterfree with, like, sleep powder or whatever. But, honestly, going through the effort of catching an entire Pokemon and raising it into a Butterfree just to catch this one Pokemon, that seems like a bit too much effort, and I'd rather just brute force it. I've decided not to cut out the search for the Pokemon this time like I did for Nidoran, because I just want to use the time to talk about stuff. Like, right off the bat, I should note that on that ledge earlier where I was picking up an item, in yellow, there's an NPC up there who gives you Hitokage. And I want to talk about a few things about the Pokemon I'm going to catch, which... Oh, speak of the devil, here it is! Attempt number 2. Let's see if this one decides to stay in the ball. And this is my last one, so I'm about to... If this doesn't catch, then I'm about to go... Yeah, I'm about to go buy some more balls. Not golden balls, but... Actually, while I'm at it, I might as well just sell the golden ball this guy gave me. By the way, one of the rare instances of a glitch that wasn't in the original but was introduced in Fire Red and Leaf Green is, you know how he gives you the nugget before you talk to him, or before the battle starts? Well, if you lose the battle and black out and then talk to him again, that dialogue triggers again, and in the original they thought of that, and he only gives you the nugget once. But in Fire Red and Leaf Green, you can keep blacking out and keep getting more nuggets and farm money that way. So yeah, the Pokemon I'm trying to catch, and its evolutions, the Cayce family. In English, they just have the most generic magic names, Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. But in Japanese, they are named Cayce, Jungeller, and Houdin, after famous real-life mystics Edgar Cayce, Uri Geller, and Harry Houdini. One of which did not take too kindly to this. In the year 2000, Uri Geller tried to sue Nintendo over 60 million pounds for stealing his likeness. Uncanny. Here's some direct quotes from this headass. Nintendo turned me into an evil, occult Pokémon character. Nintendo stole my identity by using my name and my signature image. I want to tell the world before the start of the holiday season that I have nothing whatsoever to do with these violent characters. This ass clown thought he had a case for a 60 million pound lawsuit. Well, sure, maybe if you use your mind magic on the judge, I don't know. And the best part is, it doesn't stop there. The whole stealing his likeness bullshit, that's not all he had a problem with. He took a look at Kadabra's character design, and he said the pattern on its abdomen and the star on its forehead were... Okay, hold that thought. Here we go, Cayce number 3. And remember that thing I said earlier about Generation 1 having terrible user-friendliness? Well, look at this. I gotta go all the way down to where the monster balls are. Select, go all the way back up, select again, and now, just to have them handy and not have to scroll down every time. And then, now the potions are all the way down, so the next time when I need to use a potion, I have the same problem. Just because I bought a new set of balls when I didn't have any and they sorted them all the way down at the bottom. Okay, but back to Uri Geller's clownery. He said that the lightning pattern on its abdomen and the star on its forehead were Nazi symbols. From the Waffen-SS. Like, okay, the lightning pattern, I guess I can sort of see how you would see the SS symbol there if you're really desperate to try to find something to be offended by. But the star, I've never heard of the SS using a star as a symbol. I don't know, maybe it's some obscure thing. Or maybe it's just Yuri talking out of his ass, probably the latter. But whatever the case is, you'd think that with a lawsuit this fucking stupid, that any sane judge would just go, yeah, you're a fucking idiot, get the fuck out of here. But no, this is still ongoing to this day. They have not reached an agreement. And this is why Kadabra has not appeared in the trading card game since 2003. Hell, they even introduced a card that could make Abra evolve into Alakazam directly, making it the only Pokemon that can skip an evolutionary stage. Just because they aren't allowed to use Kadabra in the TCG because of Uri Geller's bullshit. It also hasn't appeared in the anime since 2005, aside from one small cameo in the 15th movie. And it also doesn't appear in Shadows of Almia, even though both of the other stages do. All because Uri Geller decided to try to make a quick buck by suing a company out of a desperate attempt to get, you know, some kind of attention, some kind of money, because he knows that nobody buys his bullshit anymore. But yeah, the Cayce line, or Houdin in particular, is arguably the most overpowered Pokemon in the entire game aside from Mew and Mewtwo. This is partly due to the fact that the Psychic type in and of itself is just completely OP in the first generation. But it's also the fact that in-game, just like Nidoking, you can get the final form so early in the game. It evolves for the first time at level 16, and then you can immediately trade evolve it, and bam, you have just this one of the strongest powerhouses in the entire game, and nothing can fucking stop you. I mean, sure, it's a trade evolution, so I guess it's not exactly the way the game designers intended you to play the game, you know, to just trade the Pokemon with yourself if you're on an emulator or have 2 copies of the game and 2 Game Boys. That's not exactly the intended way to play the game, but hey, I'm gonna fucking do it anyway. Something I forgot to mention in the last episode. I mentioned how that police officer in yellow was changed to Junsa from the anime. But what I forgot to mention was this is also the case for the Pokemon Center nurse. They're all changed to look like Nurse Joy from the anime. And they even have their signature Lucky by their side, or Chansey in the English version is what it's called. In all the later games from Generation 2 onwards, they still all look like Joy, but without the Lucky. So, on a completely different note, on something that isn't even directly related to the game, but it's something I wanted to bring up anyway, and it's the possibility of official subtitles for the Pokemon anime maybe possibly finally becoming a thing. For those of you who don't know, there was a screening at a convention a while back of Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution with English subtitles. And that was the first time anything from the Pokemon anime was ever shown officially with English subtitles anywhere. And now I saw recently someone on Twitter posted a screenshot of what looked like, I think, a reply from Crunchyroll to this person asking about subs for Pokemon, and they said they are trying to get the license for Pokemon. They don't have it yet, but the important thing is they are trying. It seems like at least someone is trying to get officially subbed Pokemon anime finally after 2 fucking decades of nothing but a terrible edited English dub. And we still have several episodes, several hundreds of... Oh, there's another... Finally another Cayce. Yes, still have several hundreds of episodes that nobody has even bothered to fan sub. Now let's see, could this... Yes! Okay, well, that took, I think, 4 attempts? I've had worse luck with these. Yeah, it took a while for the 4th one to show up, but other than that, I can't complain. At least it didn't troll me like that Nidoran did way back in episode 2 or 3 or whatever it was. And I think I'm gonna end this episode off right here, so join me next time as we catch yet another overpowered psychic type on this very route.